Squish squish! Hi everyone, it's Tasha and welcome to another recipe video. And today we're going to be making matcha marshmallows without a thermometer. All marshmallows are a sugar syrup that's been combined with some kind of gelling agent. In this case we're going to be using gelatin, and then whisked up until it's foamy and then set. More traditional recipes use a thermometer so you can keep an eye on how hot your sugar syrup is getting to get it at the correct stage, but you don't actually need a thermometer to make marshmallows. I first made no thermometer marshmallows quite a few years back. In my blog tashacakes.com I made strawberry ones. But for this video I'm going to make matcha ones. I'll put the written recipes to both in the description. So because you don't have to track the temperature of the sugar syrup as you are cooking it, this is a very stress-free recipe. Now I will say, if you have a stand mixer, use it. I only have a hand mixer, so I do have to stand there for 5 to 10 minutes whisking it as it foams up. But if you have a stand mixer, it's even easier. All you have to do is whack it onto the mixer when it's ready to mix and then just press on and walk away. But don't worry, if like me you only have a cheap hand mixer, also works, which is how I'm going to show you how to do it now. So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. First I'm going to prepare an 8 by 8 inch square container. Now this one is a special one because the sides pop out. This one is especially for making things like marshmallows, but you can just use a plain old square 8 inch baking tin if you don't have this. Since I have this though, I shall use it. Now we're going to very lightly grease it with a tiny bit of vegetable oil. And finally I'm going to liberally dust it with some corn flour. This is like the last bit of a bag, so I have another bag, we'll use more corn flour later. And all you need to do is shake it around, get it on every surface. I'm actually going to do this over the sink because this one obviously has a few small holes on the side that's going to get messy, so just shake it around, get it all the sides. That's it, you're done. So make sure you liberally coat the sides with that corn flour. Future Tash here, I was not generous enough with the corn flour. You are going to need more than this, as you will see later. Not a big problem, but you need more than this. Now I'm going to put 70 millilitres of water, this is just cold water, into a shallow bowl. And I'm going to sprinkle over 15 grams of powdered gelatin. Now we're just going to set this aside for about 2 minutes to let the gelatin bloom and absorb all that water. Now let's prepare our matcha. Here I have a tablespoonful of matcha. And I'm going to add 50 millilitres of water, so this is going to be quite a strong, thick matcha mixture. And we're going to whisk it up. That's done, let's set this aside. Now over here in a saucepan I'm going to add 450 grams of caster sugar and 125 millilitres of water. Now I'm just going to switch on the heat to a medium heat. Let's put it a little bit high first. And we're just going to wait for this to dissolve. You can give it a little stir every so often. In fact, I'll give it a little stir now. But you don't have to baby this, so once you give it a little stir like this, get the water all incorporated with the sugar. And that's fine, you could just leave it for a minute or two. Make sure that it doesn't boil at this point, just all you want to do is get that sugar to dissolve. So let's wait until it does that. Every so often, remember, you can give it a little stir just to help it along, but you don't have to stand here stirring until it's dissolved. And this is now done. You can see it's clear and a bit foamy, it's not boiling, so this is perfect. You can see I've turned the heat down a bit because we didn't want it to boil at that stage. So now we're going to add our soaked gelatin, and this should be, yeah, it's a nice jelly-like disc. Put that all in, and we're going to dissolve this. So give it a little stir. And now we're going to bring it to the boil, but we've got to watch this, so don't walk away. I am turning the heat up, and I'm going to watch this like a hawk until it boils. That's it, that's now completely come to the boil. Now let's take it off the heat, and we're going to move this over here. We're now immediately pouring this gelatin syrup mixture into a Pyrex bowl. Make sure it's heat proof. You do not want to put this into any old glass bowl and have it shatter. And now we're just going to let it cool for 2 or 3 minutes because this is fiercely hot, so just 2 or 3 minutes to cool down. It's been a couple of minutes and now we're going to whisk it until it's fluffy, so we're going to start relatively slow. Once it's reached this stage, it almost looks like a meringue coming together. It's time to add our matcha. We've got our thick matcha here, I'm just going to dump it all in. And now we're going to whisk this up until it's really, really pillowy and thick. Now, once we've reached this floopy stage, technical term, it is time to put this in our mould. And we're going to pour this straight in. Give it a light jiggle. And now we're just going to leave it at room temperature to set. So it will take about 4 or 5 hours. Do not put it in the fridge because then it'll get all moist and soggy. Just leave it at room temperature to set for a few hours, about 4 to 5. Right, we are ready to unmould this. If you have a normal tin, make sure you dust your work surface with plenty of corn flour first. But since I have an unfolding mould, I'm just going to break it out. And that is unfortunately what happens if you don't oil your mould enough, if you don't put enough corn flour on. Doesn't matter. There we go. We're also going to dust the top with plenty of corn flour too. And then I just used a knife to ease off the sides there. It's actually really easy. See, those sides weren't too bad. The knife also helps. There we go. That's much easier. And we're going to start cutting these into small squares. And I'm going to use the guides that are handily on my board, which is also good for cutting. And in between every cut, you guessed it, more corn flour. We want to make sure every side is well coated because it is sticky stuff. It's at this stage I'm just going to turn these straight out onto the work surface, which I'm going to dust with more corn flour. Obviously if you're using a container like a cake tin, not like my one, you would have done this first and then cut it. But if you're using a container like mine, where you cut it on it, then you turn it out onto the corn flour. We're just going to, oh my gosh, they're so bouncy, look at that. We're going to roll every side in corn flour and this will stop them from sticking together. And oh my gosh, they are so bouncy. And those are our squishable marshmallows. Right, I'm going to plate these up and then I'm going to do a little slow-mo and it's going to be fun. It's a tower of marshmallows and I couldn't even fit all of them on the plate because there were so many. Right, I'm going to tear into one. I'm not going to lie, I'm absolutely covered in corn flour. Anyway, I have my super squishy marshmallow here. It's just such a satisfying texture. And after all that, I'm going to take a bite, so cheers. That was like biting into a cloud, there was no resistance. The colour's even more vibrant right in the middle, and it's just the right amount of matcha flavour too. One thing of note is I would recommend not making these on a hot day. Gelatin does not hold up in heat, it melts. So these are best made on a cool day. So there you go, no Thermometer Matcha Marshmallows. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video and I hope you will join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.tastes, and find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more, give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it, comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. Seagulls.